Welcome back. My name is Cindy, and on this channel, I help you to pinpoint ways on how to improve your romantic and parental relationships. But in this video, I will be reviewing Married at First Sight, Season 12, Episode 9. So be sure to like this video, subscribe, and click that notification bell. So the couples have been married and living together for a week and a half, and they explore the L word in this episode. Let's get into it. This week, we're going to get started with Ryan and Clara. They are at the beginning of the episode going to a pottery class, and they have a conversation. We hear Clara saying that things are going well, but it's weird that she keeps saying that, because they're not on the same page. They have a lot of differences. While they are at the crafting place, they talk about her love for crafting. And she asks Ryan, where can I put my craft stuff in the house? And he was like, in the garage. She was not happy with that. And I thought that was kind of rude and insensitive. I mean, she's explaining to him how much crafting helps her to relieve her stress, and it's something that really means something to her. But later on in the episode, they get a note from the experts, and they are exploring the L word. Clara explains that she feels most loved when someone is paying attention to her, listening to the things that she says. Like, if she's having a bad day, bring her flowers. When she mentions something that she likes and her guy, makes note of that, pays attention to it. And she really wants genuine gestures. She doesn't want him to just do it just because he feels obligated to do it. Ryan, on the other hand, he's saying that, he has trust issues and it takes him a long time to let people in. We could all see that Clara is frustrated with Ryan because, she is trying to be patient, but he's moving at a very slow pace. And it's kind of, driving her crazy. They talk about her work schedule. Prior to C19, she was, on flights a few times a week. And Ryan mentions, how he likes to be on a schedule. He's so regimented and blah, 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 blah. He takes her to a donut shop for like a little dinner date. Clara loves donuts, so she was really excited that, he had made note of that and that he was making that effort. While they're indulging and like tasting the different donuts, Ryan is asking her about what kind of vegetables she likes, and she's just kind of like, I'm not really into vegetables. They have different eating habits, so Clara's over there just stuffing her face with the donuts, and Ryan's just kind of low-key judging her. Then he asks her, what motivates you? And she was just kind of looking at him like, dude, I want to eat my donuts. Like, I don't want to talk about this right now. She just kind of lives her life day to day. Ryan, on the other hand, says that, he has a lot of motivation and drive. He structures everything that he does. He's got a lot to live up to in his family. And so he is kind of lecturing her, but I feel like he was trying to have a deep conversation with her about motivation and drive and what keeps people going. And she's just still steadily eating her donuts. And then she was like, oh, well, I guess, I feel like I'm at a seminar. Listen to what I have to say while I get free donuts. I think it was a little rude, but she's very frustrated with Ryan. She feels like marriage is a lot more difficult than she had imagined it would be. And at this point, they really do not agree on much, and they are polar opposites, and they're operating on Ryan's time, and I feel like Clara is running out of patience. They don't have a lot of things in common. They don't seem to agree on much, and they are shying away from having conversations around major things that can be deal breakers. So it's going to be interesting to see how this continues to unfold. Next, we have Eric and Virginia. So in the beginning of the episode, Eric is gone for a work trip, and Virginia is saying that, she does miss him and she's looking forward to him coming home. And when he does come home, they have a conversation, and she was saying how she expected more communication, and which was weird because, when she was gone, Eric wanted to talk to her every hour or every other hour. So, he is a pilot, so I'm sure he can't spend his time, chit-chatting or texting, especially while he's flying the plane. They go on a golfing date, and as they're walking up to the golf course, she mentions how her dad would take her to the golf course, but she would be drinking and watching her dad golf. This girl just cannot stop drinking. Even the next day, she was making mimosas, and so she was asking Eric, how does he usually make mimosas? And he was like, well, half and half. And she was like, half and half? I usually just do a splash of orange juice. Yes, because you're a low-key alcoholic. I really feel like she has an issue with alcohol, and she really needs to look into that, because I don't understand how she wakes up drinking, she goes to bed drinking. Every time she turns around, she needs a drink. It's kind of disturbing. So they start having a conversation about the L word. Eric brings up that, since being divorced, he has compared the women that he has dated between then and now to his ex-wife. I guess he felt like, she was a great love in his life, which is very odd to me, because he describes the marriage as something that they kind of just did on a whim. They didn't have a ceremony, they didn't wear rings, they didn't say I do. I mean, they lived together, but it's very confusing as to how the marriage didn't seem like it was a big deal, but then he's saying that this woman was like a love of his life. Virginia feels a little intimidated by him saying that, and she starts to talk to him about love. She was explaining to him how growing up she didn't really have a good example of love or marriage, and it wasn't until her sister and her partner got together that she started to recognize healthy patterns in a relationship. So it was like, a sensitive moment for her. She started to actually shed a couple of tears. And then Eric is sitting there saying how, my parents have been married for 40 years. And, that's the kind of marriage that I want. But he does express that he doesn't feel that Virginia is ready for marriage. I mean, I do agree with him, but he does tend to act like a know-it-all. He keeps trying to explain what a marriage is to Virginia and how, he wants her to basically get on the same page with him. But I don't feel like that's going to happen. First of all, she likes to drink, so she needs to get that under control, number one. And I still think she's immature. She was telling Jake and Hayley how she finally got to work early. I mean, it was 20 minutes early. But Eric was like, but she wakes up at 6 o'clock. And so I'm not sure what she's doing in that time. She's probably drinking. And I mean, if you wake up at 6 o'clock and you gotta be to work at 9, why are you late to work every day? I do think that she probably wakes up, makes a couple of mimosas with her splash of orange juice. She's chilling, she's relaxing, and then next thing you know, she's rushing out of the door trying to get to work. And somehow her job keeps her around. She has abandonment issues. She is afraid of being abandoned and rejected. I think it's going to be hard for them to get on the same page, because Eric has an idea of his own of what marriage should look like, and then Virginia, she's kind of struggling in that department. So I don't know how Eric and Virginia are going to get on the same page. But in this episode, they did tell each other that they love each other. And I feel like they're not really in love. They're very much in lust. And once the dust settles, it's going to be a whole different story. Next, we have Brie and Vincent. They didn't get much camera time, just like last episode, but they did have a couple of sweet moments. They talked about love and how, love brings butterflies. They mentioned how feeling in love to them means that they are looking past their partner's flaws and their guard has come down. I mean, Brianna said that she usually looks for the flaws in people, and then once she starts to look past those flaws, she knows that she's in love and that she loves the person. Vincent kind of agreed about the flaws, and he also was saying to her he feels like the L word is coming. And then Brie actually said she loves him, and then he said it back. And they talked about how they will be growing in love together. They definitely seem to be in love, and it's really sweet to watch. They also mentioned how love means that you're able to talk to your partner and be vulnerable with them. You know, you're able to tell them anything and feel comfortable talking to them. So I think they have a pretty good idea of what love is. And Vincent had a surprise for Brianna. So she came home, I guess, from work, and her mom had given them like a board of some sort. And on the board, he wrote a couple of words in Spanish. Brianna seems to be excited to learn about his culture and, you know, get to know Spanish. There were a couple of words on the board, and the last word was bicycle. So he tells her, you know, oh, you know, I have a surprise for you. So he goes out into the hallway, closes the door, and she's holding Cookie. And then, you know, he knocks on the door. And when she opens the door, you know, he had gotten her a brand new bicycle. And they did a flashback to when they were at their wedding reception. Brie actually mentioned that, you know, she wanted a bicycle because he was saying how he likes to go bike riding, and she mentioned that she had wanted a bicycle. So I thought that was a very sweet gesture. And he said that, you know, he was going to be ordering a basket so Cookie could be in the basket while she rides her bike. It was really sweet. But towards the end of the episode, they go to a salsa dancing class, and Vinny is not comfortable and he feels kind of weird and awkward. So he kind of throws another mini tantrum about the whole salsa class. Like, he was trying to act like he was okay, but she could see right through him. And then finally he was just kind of like, I'm not okay. I don't like this. I don't want to be here. It's like, dude, it's not that serious. You're just trying something new. So Vinny really needs to get himself together. He did say it was really hot and he was sweating. So I feel like he's very big on appearance and he doesn't want to come across looking a certain way. He really needs to get a better way of communicating, and he's got this little passive aggressive way about him where he's acting like everything is okay, but deep down he's like hella pissed, and then he is kind of like on the verge of blowing up. So, and I hope that he also steps up and gets the help that he needs in the communication department, because he really needs to develop better communication skills. But I mean, other than that, I do feel like they have great potential. They are in love and they really care about each other, and their interactions are very genuine. And so once he can get himself together around the way that he communicates and expresses himself, I think that they will be okay. Next, we have Hayley and Jacob. Oh my goodness. Every time they get on the screen now, my heart just breaks for Jacob. So I guess they had this conversation and he was asking her, you know, if she is physically attracted to him. And she was nervous to say no. So she told him, you know, I don't know. So he was basically low-key upset about her. I think he was more so upset that she said, I don't know, versus just saying no. I'm sure his feelings were hurt, but he did mention to her, you know, if there's no physical attraction, they probably don't have a chance. And she sat down and she was talking to her friends about it. And, you know, they were encouraging her to do her best and to really try. So she came home with some bags of clothes for him, trying to, I guess, give him a little makeover. He actually was a good sport. He went and, you know, tried on the clothes for her. He had a little fashion show. He was appreciative, but at the same time, he wanted to, you know, get back to the conversation that they were having about, you know, attraction. And she was just kind of like, listen, dude, I just need time to process everything. It's been a long time since I've been in a relationship, and I'm doing the best that I can. And Jake feels like she's not ready for marriage. I actually agree with Jake, because she hasn't had a relationship in a long time. And I think it's like, she's not really, she hasn't developed any relationship skills really, because, you know, her long-term relationship of 5 years on and off started when she was a teenager. And even though they talked about how she was probably in love in that relationship because that relationship did leave her very scarred, she still needs to develop some relationship skills. He wants to have an open line of communication. Jake definitely wants to avoid the friend zone, but he is trying to meet Hayley halfway, and she did explain to him that, you know, he's coming off kind of strong and that they needed to take a step back and keep things kind of light. So he ended up putting together a little pool party at his house. We finally get to see the sides of his house that he's been so happy to tell everybody about. The last time they had went to his house, we had just seen a little part and we saw that weird room downstairs with all the neon lights, but his backyard is pretty cool. The couples came over. Virginia and Eric were first, and they excused themselves, and as soon as they get in the house, Virginia's asking for a tour. Virginia is nosy. She likes to know everything about everything. So, you know, they walk around to a couple of rooms and then they start talking about how things are going in their marriages. And, you know, Hayley explains that she is not necessarily attracted to Jacob, but she is trying to find a way to see if the attraction can grow. So it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds, because I think with the lack of attraction and her way of like not really being open and honest is going to be an issue that they may not be able to overcome. And of course, last but not least, Chris and Paige. I don't even understand what they are still doing on the show. Oh my God, it's driving me crazy. So we start off with Paige having a sit down with Chris's pastor friend, which was kind of weird to me, because I'm just kind of like, why are you sitting down with him? I guess he was trying to be supportive. So they have a conversation. Paige opens up to him and tells him, you know, some of the things that were happening. And I don't really understand why she's telling him this. Like, I don't know if this was a genuine, like, let's get together and talk, or if this was a stunt with production. Either way, I don't think that they needed to sit down and talk. Like, I don't think Paige needs to continue to sit down and talk with his people. Where is her family? Where are her friends? I mean, I feel like they just don't want to be a part of the foolery, but at this time, she really needs a support system. She needs her family and her friends to rally around her, to help her understand that she does not deserve the type of treatment that Chris is giving to her. She even tells the girls during that pool party that, you know, she sat down with Mercedes and had a conversation, and everybody was just kind of like crickets, because everybody's just wondering, why are you still talking to him? Why are you still making yourself available to this man? It really just doesn't make any sense. And Brie was saying, you know, it's hard to watch, and it's true. It is kind of hard to watch, because it's just kind of like she keeps getting the short end of the stick, and it's like she just keeps going back for more and more and more. Chris decides to ask for another sit down, and of course she goes to meet up with him. And initially it was like he was pretty much reprimanding her about sitting down with his pastor friend, and he was saying how, you know, he was feeling, you know, disrespected, and how he's not going to talk to this pastor friend anymore. And it's like, Chris, grow up. Like, just, it's not that serious. It's not that deep. Like, Chris is just so childish. And then he starts saying, you know, I'm scared, yo. I'm scared, yo. He kept saying that. He kept saying how scared he is, trying to figure out which decision would be best, and how he wants to be a great father, and blah, 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 blah. And then they decide that they're going to reset and start over. I guess they're gonna just rejoin the show and continue on with this charade of a marriage. It's really weird. So just join me here next week. Be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.